Good morning, dear students, and welcome back to your English grammar class. Yesterday, we started the chapter tenses and we did simple present tense and present continuous tense. Let us see the comparison between them. We use words like always, never, usually, often, sometimes, every day, etc. with the simple present tense as they talk about a habitual action. And we use words like now, today, etc. with the present continuous tense. For example, do you usually go to school by bus? That is, we are asking about the daily routine of a person. And are you going to school by bus today? Something which is going to happen today in the present continuous form. Now, state verbs are verbs that do not usually have a continuous form. For example, the verbs of the senses like feel, hear, see, smell, taste do not have a continuous form. We say we can smell the roses from the other end of the room. We can never say we are smelling the roses from the other end of the room. Verbs of feelings and emotions like feel, want, desire, like, dislike, etc. do not have a continuous form. For example, my sister cares greatly for stray dogs. We do not say my sister is caring greatly for stray dogs. Verbs of mental states and activity like agree, disagree, believe, disbelieve, etc. do not have continuous form. Example, I agree that he is doing quite well. We do not say I am agreeing that he is doing quite well. Verbs that show possession like belong, own, possess also do not have continuous tense. For example, she belongs to the ancient Sane family. We do not say she is belonging to the ancient Sane family. Verbs like seem, appear, cost, consist, contain, and resemble do not have continuous form. For example, this book costs 250 rupees. We cannot say the book is costing. It is wrong. Some state verbs have both simple and continuous form, but the meaning of the same verb in these two contexts is different. For example, the curry smells delicious. Here we are talking about the aroma or the smell. We can also say Meeta is smelling the curry. That means the action is different. The action here is of sniffing at or taking the smell in. Let us now continue with present perfect tense. We use present perfect tense to talk about first, recently completed actions, the results of which are visible in the present time. For example, Suparna has written the letter. That means the action has been completed recently and we can see the finished product, that is the letter. The second use is in personal experiences or changes. For example, Farida has done a course in embroidery and knitting. The third use of present perfect tense is to talk about past actions that are not over at the time of speaking, for which the time of action is not mentioned. In these sentences, we use time expressions like today, this morning, evening, afternoon, week, months, etc. For example, Arun has finished revising his syllabus this month. That means he might study more as the month is not over yet. The next use is in actions that began in the past and have continued into the present with state verbs like be, have, like, know, etc. We often use for or since in this case. For example, he has been a good friend since 2010. The structure for writing affirmative sentences for present perfect tense is the subject plus have or has plus the third form of the verb. For example, I have slept, you have slept, and he has slept. Negative sentences are written as subject plus have or has plus not and plus the third form of the verb. For example, I have not slept, you have not slept, he has not slept. Interrogative sentences begin with has or have plus the subject and plus the third form of the verb ending with a question mark. Example, have I slept? Have you slept? And has he slept? Let's now talk about present perfect continuous tense. We use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about first, actions which began in the past and continue up to the time of speaking. For example, he has been watching TV since morning. The action has started since morning and is continuing to the time of speaking, that is right now. The next use is to talk about past actions of certain duration with visible results in the present. For example, he has been walking in the rain, that's why he's got a cold. That means he has been walking in the past and the result is visible in the present, that is, he has got the cold. The third use is to express anger or annoyance. For example, she has been trying to wake me up since the minute I fell asleep. Meaning that the moment I fell asleep, from that moment she has been trying to wake me up and that has made me angry. The structure to write affirmative sentences for present perfect continuous tense is subject plus have or has depending on the subject plus been plus verb in the ing form. For example, I have been sleeping, you have been sleeping, he has been sleeping. The negative sentences are written as follows: subject plus have or has plus not plus been plus the verb plus in the ing form. For example, I have not been sleeping, you have not been sleeping, and he has not been sleeping. The interrogative sentences begin with has or have plus the subject plus been plus verb in the ing form. For example, have I been sleeping? Have you been sleeping? And has he been sleeping? The present perfect continuous tense is used to highlight the duration of an activity, while present perfect tense is used to focus on the result of an activity. For example, Vasudha has been studying hard since 9 in the morning. Here, the continuous tense talks about the duration for which the activity has been going on. Next example, she has bought 3 saris for herself. Here, the emphasis is on the result of the activity. But sometimes either tense can be used without changing the meaning of the sentence. For example, I have studied here for 12 years and I have been studying here for 12 years. Both the sentences mean the same and tell us about the duration and the time that we have been studying in the school. That will be all for today's class, and we'll continue the chapter tenses in our next class.